there, FlossTube. How's it going? Jessie Marie from Jessie Marie Does Stuff here on FlossTube, and I want to first of all wish everybody a happy and prosperous New Year. Today is January the 1st of 2016, and I'm probably going to mess that up. Like this whole video, I'm going to get confused on the year. It usually takes me... nose. I'm in a different location and my nose still itches. It usually takes me a couple of months to get used to the new year, but eventually I will. But I can already feel it. This video, I'm going to be either taking long pauses to think about when it is, or botching it completely. But so what do I have for you today? Today is where I'm going to be doing my 2015-2016 mashup video that I promised a little while ago. Sorry for the delay, but there were reasons. My last video went up the day after I recorded it because we had some scares with Thor. The bulldog ate something he wasn't supposed to. If anybody is surprised by that, then you shouldn't be, because he's guilty of that all the time. But he ate a rather large piece of rubber plastic toy, and I thought for sure we were going to have to take him to the vet and have surgery. He's okay. Everything seems normal, so either the piece ended up somewhere else, or it was into tiny bits, or, you know, who knows. Not really sure about that at this point, but he's okay. So that's really what matters. But basically what I had told you was that I was posting that video on Monday, and then on Tuesday I was going to record this video that I'm doing here today. But because of delays and circumstances and being concerned about the dog, that just wasn't going to happen. So, c'est la vie. But I'm here now, and I'm still kind of in that window where it will fit, where it makes sense. You know, like, it's not going to make sense if I do this in January, or if I do this in, like, March or April. January makes sense, but anyway, so we're here now. I had planned on planning this out and, like, having it all organized, but it's like 4 o'clock in the afternoon. The lighting is already, and this is really just a good time for me to do this recording, so I'm just going to do it now, and I'm just going to fly by the seat of my pants just to see kind of what happens. You cool with that? I hope so. So I was going to show you guys all of my needle minders, but I forgot them, and yeah, I don't know if that really is pertinent to what I'm showing you here today, so my next video on Monday, I will definitely show you all of the needle minders. Today, I'm not going to do any stash quisitions or anything like that. It's going to be just purely a review of 2015 and what it was for me stitching wise, and then to sort of talk with you guys about what I plan to do in 2016. Long story short, if you don't want to watch this whole thing, because I imagine it could be lengthy, but long story short, I plan to stitch in 2016. I know, you're all surprised, can't believe it, but it's true. I plan to stitch in 2016, so. Spoiler alert, sorry. I guess I probably should have prefaced with spoiler alert. Anyway, let's get back on track. So, I guess the first thing we'll start with is my finishes in 2015. These are in no particular order. I just kind of grabbed them all and stuffed them into this pile here. One of them I don't have because it was a gift. Or it was a commission piece, really, that I gave to the person. It was my first finish of January of 2015, and I'm going to go ahead and put up a picture here of that finished piece. The design was Girls Just Want to Have Fundamental Human Rights, and the designer is, who was that? Plastic Little Covers, and I stitched that up for a friend who asked for it. And then, so that was my first finish for the year, but the rest of these are in no particular order. Case in point. This one right here really defines 2015 for me. My mini Pearl. Yeah, she's still out of the frame. We haven't gotten her framed yet. I haven't even washed her yet. As you can tell, because you can kind of still see the bumps from the columns. You kind of still see that. But there's my mini Pearl in all of her glory. She lays on our kitchen table that we rarely ever eat at, and so I get to look at her all the time. And she makes me happy. But this was my magnum opus of this year, so to speak. Mini Pearl. Okay, I'm going to have to try to remember to do this. Charted by Heaven and Earth Designs. The artwork is by Rachel Anderson. This is a mini design. I started this in March of 2013, and I finished it in July of 2015. I love her. I need to get her framed. Maybe that's one of my major goals for 2016. Oh, one thing I probably should have started with. I had 9 finishes in 2015 and 0 FFOs. So, you know, there's that. So, anyway. Mini Pearl. Okay. Okay, next is one of my most recent finishes. This is SK Littlest Fairy. Also charted by Heaven and Earth Designs. Artist here is Selena Finnick. This is a black and white story keep size. It's meant to be a bookmark, but because I stitched it over on 18 count, it's large. It's probably too big to be a bookmark. But I finished her. I started her in July of 2014. Finished her in December of 2015. Really quick piece. If I had focused on her, I could have had her done quickly. You've heard this story before. Okay, next piece was my only frosted pumpkin piece of the year. And this is the Fibery Friends sampler by the Frosted Pumpkin Stitchery. This is stitched on a, it's Studio Session 121 from Cascade? Is it Cascade Fabrics? I believe so. Fabric dyer in Australia. So it's a one of a kind. Just pale pinks. And I changed a whole lot of things about this design. I added some texture to it with different fiber types. Obviously the center design is very different. And mine says, I love the fiber arts. So there's that. Very quick stitch. I started that with Candace and Letitia from the Crafty Curator. And I think we all finished them pretty quickly. So there's that. Okay, so that's 4. Number 5, this is the one of the spring samplers by the Prairie Schooler. And it says March winds and April showers bring forth May flowers. I'll just zoom in here so you can see some of the details of it. This was stitched on, I believe it's a 32 count Belfast linen. Just a cream or an off-white or something like that. And as charted with DMCs. The only thing that I would have done differently is I would have used a darker gold for the sun's face. Because it's, you know, it's kind of lost. You only can see it really in the shadows, which is kind of ironic actually. But there's that one. Love that. Definitely need some more Prairie Schoolers in my life. Which is also kind of ironic, considering shutting down. Okay, number 6 was also an early finish. This was a freebie snowman from Vermilion Stitchery. Can't believe I remembered that. I haven't thought about this project in a long time. But it's from the Vermilion Stitchery. And I started this in February of 2014. Finished it early 2015. I can't remember exactly when. but it's the February snowman. He is one of a 12-part-year series of snowmen, all dressed up for the relevant holiday, so unsurprising this is February. And the only changes I made... Did I make any? No, I didn't. I was thinking that I replaced the French knots with beads, but I did not. They are, in fact, French knots. So there's that. Then I stitched up something that took me less than an hour. For the cross stitch, it's fun. The designers behind Precious Moments. I wish that name was popping into my head right now, but it's not. But you may know what I'm talking about. Anyway, this was a freebie on their website. And it's just charted for one color. And it's supposed to be all cross-stitch, but I changed some things. So I used a couple of limited edition Gentle Art sampler threads that didn't even have a name. They just looked pinky. And I cross-stitched the outer rim of them. And then in the center, this one is satin stitch horizontally. This one is beads, because I needed a bead fix. And this is satin stitch vertically. That one there. And so that was a really, really, really quick stitch. But I felt like doing something for the Sal there. So that was 6, 7. This is number 8. Ironically, not ironically really, this was my most recent finish. This is Box of Delights by Liz Almond. I did an abbreviated version. I just did the 4x4 and then I picked random patterns that I liked. It's charted as a black work design. I did not use any black. The what looks like black there is actually $37.99, which is actually one of my favorite thread colors. And then I used Mo's and Fiberlicious cottons for the designs. The center is using a PBO1, so Petite Treasure Braid 01. I stitched this on a 28 count MCG Textiles even weave that I will never use again, but we've had that discussion. Yeah. I really liked it. I really liked doing it. It was fast, more than anything, and the coolest part for me really was picking the colors, because this is Harry Potter referencing. So that's that. And then my last finish of the year, although it wasn't really, was my Summer Still Life. This is designed by Perman, and I found it in a magazine. I think it was a Just Cross Stitch edition from this summer. I can't remember what, but nonetheless, this is stitched on a 32 count, I believe, off-white or antique white or something like that, linen. And I really loved this. I stitched this for a cross stitch and discuss stitch along. It was a challenge, really. It was freeze into a puddle, and I made it my Sunday piece, and I really, really loved stitching this. So this needs to be FFO'd because I really want to have it either framed up or cubed up or something for my house for the summer, because I think it's beautiful. So those are all of my finishes. I got 9 finishes this year, which, if you compare it to the number of new starts that I have, it's like a teeny tiny number of finishes. But I only got 6 finishes in 2014. And so I will take my 9 finishes for the year. I'm pretty impressed. More importantly than anything though, and this is kind of a running theme for me, I enjoyed the stitching that I did. For the most part. You know, I ran into a couple of things this year where I wasn't loving what I was stitching, but for the most part I really loved what I stitched. The majority of my finishes there are projects that I really, really enjoyed, so I will count that successful. So I guess we can talk about whips next. And so I've got to organize some things and I'll be right back. Okay, so I'm back, so we can talk about whips now. I have, as of today, I'm looking here, I have 24 works in progress. That does include my 2015, see, told you it was coming, my 2016 New Year, New Start. So prior to that, I have 23 works in progress here that I had to organize. So 23 works in progress is a lot. Couple of things. First things first, I'm really proud of myself because in 2015, I stitched on every single one of my whips. Every single one, at least a little bit. Some of them got a ton more love than others, of course, but I stitched on every single one of them. And that includes my projects that are older. So I'm really pleased with that. The caveat is that of those 23 works in progress, 19 of them are 2015 new starts. That's a lot. That's a lot of new starts. And one thing I can get into a little bit later, but I have determined that I like large projects. I'm not really one for the small ones. So like, of those 19 projects, like, it's going to take some serious work to get them done this year. But more on that later. So let's just go through a whip parade, shall we? I think it might be kind of fun. What I'm going to do here is talk briefly about fabric designer, etc., the usual. And then I'm going to talk about maybe some goals that I might have. Some of these have very specific goals associated with them. Some of them are kind of like, we'll see. So, yeah, let's get started. These are in chronological order. I have, to the best of my knowledge, put them in order of when I started them. So we're going back to March of 2014. My oldest whip I started in March of 2014. 50,000 bonus points to whoever can name the project before I pull it up. No? I didn't think so. Okay. So, hair. Ugh. That's probably why my nose itches. Anyway, okay. My oldest work in progress is one that will probably not get done for quite a few years yet. But it is my very first Passion Ricamo mystery stitch along. And this one was the stitch along for 13 into 14. I got behind from the very beginning because this fabric that I had to order is huge and it cost a lot of money. And that was back when I didn't want to spend that much money on things. But I wanted to do this project, so maybe this is the one that started it all. So anyway, I started this in early 2014. And here is where I am today. So the border is all complete. And then I just have the, as I've said for literally years now, just the vignettes to do in the middle. But they take a lot of time because I am a glutton for punishment. And I'm stitching the skin 1/1. So I think that in 2015, all I did was work on the mermaid here. Gosh, the back stitching isn't even in, and you can really see her face and her expression. That's really cool. That's what I love about 1/1. It makes that possible. So yeah. My goal for 2016 with this piece is to get this vignette done, and there is a big fairy here in the middle before these two vignettes over here. So I would like to get her done and the big fairy in the middle. The big fairy in the middle has a lot of skin, and I'm doing the skin for this whole piece 1/1. So that's why I think that's a pretty reasonable goal. And then we'll move on from there. I think that if I can get 2, maybe 3 vignettes done a year, I think I could have it done by 2020. Nothing like a 7-year project that most people finished in 8 months. But hey, you know, whatever. It's not a race. So that is that. The fabric here is a 32 count Ariel linen. It is hand dyed by Picture This Plus. And so that is that. And I will get back to that this year so that I can accomplish those goals. Okay. Next, this is actually going to be a little bit of a whip update because last I spoke to you, I was focusing on this piece alone. And so I did. This is my Chatelaine Frosty Knot Garden. And this was my very first Chatelaine. No, it wasn't. Just kidding. I did a freebie a while ago. Anyway. So last I saw you, I had this one here finished. I was working down this one. Now I have that one on the side finished. And that one, both mountain, the frosty, snowy bits there on top are complete. And then I just barely got to start here before we rang in the new year. So that is that. Chatelaine Frosty Knot Garden. Artwork. Well, not really artwork. I guess kind of. Designed by Martina Weber Rosenberg. I can't remember which one is her married last name. One of those two. The fabric here is 32 count antique white Belfast linen. And this has been a long-term labor of love. I'll be honest, this part is the most boring part of this entire series, or of this entire design, because it's repeated effectively 8 times, and you know, it's just DMC. The most interesting part about it is the outer edge. I don't know if you can see it with this light here today, but the outer edge is Petite Treasure braid. That's the most interesting part about it. So I'm looking forward for that to be done, because my goal for this piece in 2016 is a finish. And we'll get this puppy done this year. And I'm so excited. And I think it's really, really doable. I just need to buckle down and really, really get to it. I have the rest of the blue part and then a very thin part around the outer edge. And then all of the beading. So I will be good for beading for a little while once I get this done. So that's that. Take a quick sip of coffee. Okay. My next piece that I had started back in 2014, this is Rose Fairy by Joan Elliott. I guess I don't really need all of the fabric for it, since it's just her bottom half. This I started in 2014 for my stepdad's ex-girlfriend, so it's kind of awkward. But now I'm stitching it for me. This is on, I believe it's a 32 count even weave, but it may be a 28 count. And it is confetti from Picture This Plus. So it's mostly yellow, but with shots of pink and blue and green and purple. Very pretty. I like Joan Elliott designs. There might have to be another one in my future. So there's that. Goals here for this one, bottom half. I want to finish off the bottom half. And then we'll see about the top half. Okay. My last piece from 2014. I love this fabric. I forget how much I love this fabric. I haven't worked on this piece in a very long time. This is my other gigantic Passione Ricomo. And this was the Mystery Stitch Along from 2014 into 2015. Obviously, I did not finish on time. So this is going to take some lean back and scroll up. I forget how gorgeous she is. That tail. Look at that tail. The tail is so cool. The fabric here is 32 count Belfast linen. And it is hand-dyed fabrics by Stephanie in the Lady of the Lake color. So it's blues and purples and whites. And I stinking love it. The reason that she's not done is because I got tired of skin 1/1. And she's a half-naked mermaid. So there's a lot of skin. On top of the fact that she's ginormous. I mean, this is a fat half of fabric. So, you know, it's huge. It's like a bed sheet. Look at it. I could drape it over me and, like, take a nap. Anyway. So that's really why I slowed down on her. Because I got tired of the skin. But I'm going to go back and get her finished this year. 2016 is going to see her finally finished. Beads and all. So there's that. I'm really looking forward to finishing her. I forget how much I really like her. Woo! I'm so excited for this year. Okay. From this point moving forward, everything is from 2015. 2015 new starts. What this pile does not include are those projects that I started in 2015 but decided not to finish. That may be a conversation for another day. There were quite a few projects that I started this year that I just fell out of love with, and so I decided not to continue them, because ultimately I want to love what I'm working on. So yeah. Okay, so I know the start date for a few of them, but most of them I'm like, your guess is as good as mine. So, first up, on January the 1st, I started Persephone by Mirabilia, and I started this for the first ever hashtag YouTube Mirabilia Sal. Started, created, born from Mrs. Milky Bar Kids' desire to stitch a Mirabilia, and I didn't get it done. But I made some really good headway. She's a large. She's not as large as the mermaid, but she's large. She's got a great big skirt. Let's see. This is stitched on 32 count Belfast linen hand-dyed fabrics by Stephanie in the Tempest color. I kept calling it all year long. I kept calling it Amethyst. I don't know why. It's Tempest. There we go. That's a better view. And let's see. In, I think, September, maybe end of August, I decided that I was going to try to get her completed this year. But I got burnt out. And that's not really surprising. But I did. I got burnt out. My goal for 2016 is to finish her. I have all year to do her top half, the wallpaper, and the beading. And I think I can do it. Because that big thing is done. So, my goal is to get this done. That's my Persephone. Love her. Okay. The next project that I started was my Long Dog Sampler Opus 2, aka Maggie. Very, very simple start here. Just this center largest motif is complete. And then I got to work on the large motif there underneath it, but not a whole lot done here. This is being stitched on, it looks like a 32 count linen, maybe a 28, a linen. And I am stitching it using DMC 924 because I accidentally ordered a box, which means I got 10 skeins. And the reason that I AKA this Maggie is because Jen loves this piece. She's always telling me to work on it, so I'm naming it after her dog. Because long dog, you get it. There's a reason that this is not any further along, and the reason for that is that I'm going to finish it in 2016. But I can't finish it until after May 28th. Here's why. This piece includes a space for you to put your initials. So what I'd like to do is put my initials after I get married. My initials then will be JMS. But it's kind of got dual purpose because JMS could also stand for Jen and Maggie's, like possessive S, you know, kind of a thing. Or Jen and Maggie Sampler. So it's kind of got dual purpose, and that's really what I want to do. So I will focus on this definitely after the wedding. So there's that. Okay. Up next, we have a piece that I was so excited about and proved to be so disappointing. But I'm going to keep on with it because I've gone to war for this piece. This is my Victoria Sampler Pumpkin Patch Farm Sampler. And the reason that it's been such a struggle is because of the colors that were sent in the accessory pack. If I ever do a Victoria Sampler piece again, which, let's be honest, I really like their designs, I'll just order full skeins of the silks. It'll be more expensive that way, but I don't care because that was a pain dealing with the color issues. This is band number 1 and it's mostly finished. I still have the 1/1 stitching for the leaves to do up here. And I can't remember if I was still waiting on a thread for that. But anyway, mostly done. And then I'll get to work some specialty stitches and continue moving down. I do love this piece. I just want the rest of it to go more simply. I don't want it to be so much of a struggle anymore. So here's hoping. And this is being done on, I think that this is a 28 count. I feel like those are size 14 stitches. But it's a linen, and I believe it's Winter Moon or Harvest Moon. Something. It's a plain neutral linen, and that's that. Stitched in 100% silk. Okay. Up next we have My Insanity. And this project has several nicknames, most of which are inappropriate for YouTube. So if you have small children in the room, popcorn. I call her the nipple, and Tracy calls her crotch flower, which I just think is fantastic, you know, because it's this beautiful piece of artwork, but it has such vulgar nicknames. I'm amused by things. Okay, so the reason that this is My Insanity is that this is a Heaven and Earth design. The artist is Jeremiah Kettner, who is one of my favorite artists. And it is not a supersize. It is more than half of a supersize, but regularly charted that way. It's 750,000 stitches, I think, total. And I am stitching it 1/1, full cross on 25 count Lugana. And this is another blanket. And that's what I've got done. Just, do I have half page? Nope, not even half page. I have almost 3 columns done on the first page. And I have a long way to go. Obviously. But I don't even care. I've had this conversation many a times and that is that this is artwork that I don't care if it's going to take me a long time to get it done, because I'm cool with it. I love Kettner's artwork. I want to own some of his actual artwork, but I'm okay with living in this piece for the next 30 years, or however long it takes me to finish this. I don't even care, because I love it that much. If you follow me on Instagram, this artwork is my, it's my avatar. It's also the background on my laptop. I love this artwork, and I love his style and his aesthetic. But anyway, goals for 2016 for this. Reasonable goals. 2 pages done. Unrealistic goals, top row. I think top row is 7 pages, and it's regular chart format. I think it's 7 pages. That sounds about right to me. I don't think that's going to happen. In 2015, all told, I think I stitched 9 or 10 Heaven and Earth design pages, and I have more Heaven and Earth design goals this year. So realistically, I think 2.5, 3 pages I'd like to get done on this year. And like I said, I'm cool with it if I'm working on it for the next 30 years. It doesn't bother me a bit, because it's beautiful. And I love it. You know how much I love this piece? I ordered 30-inch Millennium bars so that I could stitch this piece on a Millennium. Am I crazy? Maybe a little bit. By the way, I don't mean in addition to the 30-inch bars I already have. I'm referring to those. Okay, another sip of coffee. Starting to run a little bit dry. Okay. Next piece is a piece that I will love once it's done. But I am not in love with the process. And that's because it's on 14 count Fiddler's Ada. You guys know this piece. This is Be Thankful by Diane Arthur for Imaginating. And as I've said, I don't love it, but I'm dealing with it. And I'm going to finish this one because I love the finished piece enough to get through it. It's not, it's easier when I'm using a larger needle. See, for most of my projects, I use a size 28. If I use a size 26 or even a 24 for this, I think it'll be easier. And really, once I get the basket done and the pumpkins that are in it, the rest should go pretty quick. At that point, it's just lettering and then like the vines with the, I think they're holly berries or something. Maybe cranberries. And that's really it. So goals for this piece for this year, finished by November. Finished by Thanksgiving, because I want it up in my house for Thanksgiving. Pretty, ain't it? It will be. I love the effect of the fiddler's cloth. It's kind of dirty looking. I love that. But I just wish it wasn't Ada. Oh, I want to say something here. I'm not an Ada stitcher anymore. We know this. And so when I talk about the fact that I don't like Ada, sometimes I feel like maybe I am being too harsh on Ada. And I don't mean that. It is purely a preference thing. It's just something that I don't prefer anymore. If you stitch on Ada, that's fantastic. Ultimately, we should be stitching. That's really what matters. I've listened back to some of my videos, and I think that I sound, I don't want to say snotty, but maybe it is. Maybe that's what I sound like. I don't mean to. And if that's how it's come off, then I apologize. It's just not my preference any longer. So, hope that that helps. A little bit. Okay, another sip of coffee. I'm running out of steam. We're 25 minutes into this part here. I think I'm halfway through. And by halfway through, I think I'm halfway through my whips. And then we have more to talk about. It's going to be a long one. Okay, next project that I started was my not quite white work. This is a mystery, not really a mystery, but it's a stitch along designed by Nicole for Northern Expressions Needlework. And she released part 10 earlier this week in advance of the new year. And I am stuck on part 2. I haven't moved any further beyond this because I haven't gone back to finish up that Bargello stitch. But this project, I'll be honest, has called to me recently. I don't know why, but it really has. I think that part of me wants to get through the challenge of this Bargello stitch and then get to do something else cool. So, here's where I'm at with this. This is stitched entirely with Dinky Dye silks. This color story here is the autumn version that Nicole put together after I had mentioned, maybe there's an autumn alternative. So she did. She created an entire seasonal series for this. And so I'm doing the autumnal version. The fabric here is, I still left the tag on it for this reason. This is a 36 count Edinburgh and it's cream ivory. And it's huge because this piece is massive. I mean, you think 36 count. And it's a fat half of 36 count. But I am stitching it with 1 strand of silk over 2. And this piece is full of specialty stitches I've never done before, which I'm really excited about. Which is why I need to just get over myself and get through the Bargello so that I can do some cool things. So, goals for this piece. I want to get through half. I want to get through part 6 by the end of the year. I'm not really sure when that's fitting into my plans. I haven't discussed with you guys my rotation just yet, but at some point that's what I want to do. I really want to get through part 6. And then 2017 I'll finish it up. So that's that. Love that piece. Oh man, I miss it. Okay. Up next is a piece that I am considering putting in the DNF bucket. The did not finish bucket. That's a reading term. The what's the term that we use? I'm starting to lose it, guys. Okay. So this is my Heron by Leslie Tier. The reason that I'm considering not finishing this is the fabric. It's typically the reason why I don't finish things anymore. Because I've gotten to be very particular about the fabrics that I use for pieces. This fabric is a 28 count even weave. It's probably an MCG Textiles even weave. I'm almost certain that it is because it's the same fabric that I used for the Leslie Tier poppies, vintage poppies that I did last year. And I was in the mood for Leslie Tier, so I'm almost certain that it's the same fabric as that. I don't love the fabric. But I'm looking at my stitches here, and they look better than I imagined they did. So maybe I'll keep going with this. I'm not going to put this in that pile just yet of UFOs. That's the word! That's the acronym! UFOs. Sorry, I don't know why that took me so long. Anyway, maybe I will finish this. My goal if I'm going to keep going with it, I want to get another page finished. This is a 4-page piece, so I want to get one more page, and then I can determine more solidly if I want to keep going. I know that that's a lot of work to put in for just to see if I'm going to finish it, but I'm okay with that. Because looking at it now, I'm not prepared to UFO it. I almost said DNF again. Anyway, so there's The Heron by Leslie Tier. Okay, next, this I started for another Cross Stitches Fun Sale. Aw, this is cute. Sorry guys, I'm not editing that out. I had to sneeze. Okay. So this was for a Cross Stitches Fun Sale, and I can't remember what it was. But I started, this is Lizzie Kate's Jingles. I won the fabric and charts and embellishments from a giveaway that Tara C hosted quite a while back. And I finally got to start on it. I only had some of the Weeks Dye Works. This entire piece is charted for Weeks Dye Works. I only had some of them, so, like, Louie's missing a beak. That's Louie. And Olaf. He needs buttons and such, and the house needs a roof, and, you know, there's still some work to be done here. This linen is a 32 count amber linen. It's really stiff stuff, but that's okay. That doesn't bother me much. What does bother me is the white Weeks Dye Works and its total lack of variegation. What a waste. Yep, there's like no variegation in that white. Oh god, it's annoying. Or the dark green. Anyway. That's that. Goals for this. I'd like to finish 2 more of these. I think there's 12 of them in total, maybe 10. 10 or 12 of them in total. I'd like to finish 2 more. I need to get the rest of the weeks to finish this one out, and then I will continue and work on the next 2 once I do that. So there's that. This I'd really like to have done for Christmas this year, but I think that based on my other goals, I don't think that's reasonable. So maybe Christmas 2017. So there's that. My goals for 2017 are already huge. And we're barely into 2016. Okay. Next. This I started in August. And I know I started it in August because I started it for August Angst from Stitch Mania. And it was really the only piece that I was going to start for that. But this is another Heaven and Earth design. The artwork here is Mini Pirate, and the artist is Sabine Rich. And I got just about a column and a half done. This, the chart, so if you finish Heaven and Earth design within like a certain window, if you turn in pictures of it and whatnot, you get a free chart of equal or lesser value. This chart was my reward for finishing Mini Pearl. And so that's that. Goals for this piece for 2016? Top row. 3 pages. Top row. I can do that. I can definitely do that. That's no problem. This is also on my preferred fabric for Heaven and Earth Designs. Is a 25 count Lugana by Zweigart. So there's that. Okay. The next piece is something that I will talk about when I talk about my rotation, but I will just show you here because I am actively working on it. Well, not right now. Okay. So this is the Flower of the Month series from Ellen Moore Stroh. And right now I am working on, there we go, January. Oh, God, that bobs me in the face. That's not cool. So this is January Carnation. And I'm going to do all 12. That's really awkward. I'd like to do this the same way that Calico is doing it. She's leaving a space underneath each one so that I can backstitch in the name of the flower. So I'd really like to do that. And I started working on this earlier today. That needle minder there, one of my favorites. It is freakish. It's a spider from Gina's Unique Needle Minders, and the reason that I'm using that one is, like, you know, spiders in the garden. It's kind of, they go together. So, there's that. Oh, that's kind of creepy. You see the shadow, like, being reflected from the spider? Ooh. I don't like spiders, but I like that spider. So anyway, so there's that. And that I'm going to hold over here because I know that's going to be in conversation later. Okay. My next piece is like one of my favorite projects that I have. You know, I have a lot of projects, but this project, for whatever reason, it calls to me all the time. This is my elephants from Jane Netley Mayhew. And here's where I am with it. I haven't made any further progress since the last time you guys saw it, but there it is. Oh, I watched back my video the last time that I talked about this piece, and I kept saying that this was Dad's trunk. It's not, it's his tusk. I don't know why I kept saying trunk, but I'm watching it back and I'm going, Jess, what are you talking about? Tusk, not trunk. So silly. This fabric, I left the tag on this one. This is 32 count aqua linen, and this is Lakeside Linens. Is it? Or is it R&R Productions? I don't know. Does it say? Does it say? Fabric Flare. I was wrong. Okay, it's Fabric Flare. And Fabric Flare is recognizable because, as you can see here, one side is dyed and the other is not. So it's like painted on one side. There is an actual right side. But that is my elephants. And my goal for this piece in 2016, as much as it breaks my heart to say it, is to finish this piece. Why does that break my heart, you might ask? Because this is one of those pieces where finishing it's going to be bittersweet, because I'm going to miss this piece. I have a feeling that I'm going to have to start another Jane Netley Mayhew, like, right after finishing it. Because, for whatever reason, this means a lot to me. So, anyway, so there's my elephants. Love it. Love it. Love it. Okay. After that, for another stitch along, which I cannot remember, I started Teresa Wensler. Dun dun dun. You know, like, Teresa Wensler is like, I feel like her designs are like the ultimate goal. Like, you are a cross stitcher once you can do one of these. And to be honest, it's not that it's hard. It's just that it's detailed. You know? Like, it's not, it's still just cross stitch. It's just detailed. Anyway, it's on the same fabric as my sunflowers. But I'm leaving it on there for the scroll bar's sake. The more fabric you have on the bars, the better the tension. Anyway, this is Stretch by Teresa Wensler. It's a free design. And it's a little dragon who stretches across. It's kind of like bookmark size, which I love. I am a fantasy reader, so I will take a dragon bookmark any day of the week. And that's about all I got. But I like it. There are like 4 or 5 colors of gold in there, which you can't hardly tell because lighting and because blended. But so far, I'm liking it, and I will get back to work on this. I think I could probably finish it this year. I think I spent a day on this, to be totally honest. So I think maybe a week or so dedicated to it, I could get that done. So there's that. Okay. Still going strong. Okay, next, another Cross Stitch It's Fun sale that I can't remember. I started a lot of sales this year, but I'll talk more about that later. This is Nora Corbett's 9 Ladies Dancing. I discovered this year that Nora Corbett has the 12 Days of Christmas, and this is 9 Ladies Dancing. So it's a very little design. See, teeny tiny. But it's got that Nora Corbett style to it. And the linen, it's the called for linen, but I can't remember what it is, but it's very stiff linen. It doesn't have much fluidity to it, you know. Probably use it as a fan. Oh yeah. Anyway, I barely got a start on that, but I did nonetheless get a start on it. And what you see here, it's probably hard to tell. This is her skirt, and she's holding up her skirt. This white here is her glove. Her skin is 1/1. And then these are like the curtains. So it's like a ballet dancer. 9 Ladies Dancing. So there's that. Eventually I'd like to do that whole series, but that's not going to take place for a long time. I know that I could get that done this year because it is so small, but we'll just have to wait and see. It's not high priority at this point, so we'll see. Okay. Next is this beauty that I haven't seen in so long. And it's beautiful, but like there's hardly anything here. This is my August quilt. Well, it will be. The designer here is Paula Vaughn. And that right there is just a shutter on the door. So nothing really there yet, nothing to see, not a whole lot. Started this after I fell in love with Paula Vaughn. And yeah, I think that this piece is going to become like an August piece because it's August. And so I'll work on this in August. And I'll just get done whatever I get done in August on it. Actually, this piece and the next two are very similar to that, I think. This one is, oh, did I mention the linen there? That's a 32 count Zweigart linen. This is also going to be a seasonal piece. And this is my Haunted House by Cloud's Factory. This is going to be a piece that I work on Halloween time. And we'll see what I get done this Halloween. I think that I don't think I'm going to get it done for this Halloween, but I think maybe next Halloween. And I'll work on this in probably September and October. See what I get done there. The fabric here is my Under the Sea Fabrics 32 count Umbriel. And this was a fabric of the month from this year. Gorgeous. And then the next seasonal piece is going to be a November seasonal piece, and the reason for that is that it is my November quilt from Paula Vaughn. Which, by the way, Crafty Kim, oh my goodness. You're like almost done. I love it. I know that you said that it was my fault that you decided to start it, and so you paid me back. More on that later. Anyway, I can't remember which side is up here. I don't think that's it. I think that is, yes, because I think I was going to try to use the other half of the fabric. Yep, that's it. Okay. So that was my meager start on the November quilt. I started this for the Cross Stitch and Discuss Paula Von Sal, but I just barely got a start in on it. And this piece I'm going to focus on in November and see what I get done. Not really a goal for a finish. Oh, sorry. I was apologizing to you, not my mug, despite the fact that it looked like I was apologizing to my mug. Anyway, not a high priority, but a project that I know I'm going to love. Okay, I have this piece of fabric here. Oh, that's what that is. When you start so many things in such a short period of time, it's hard to remember what you started. Anyway, this here was my very meager start on the Glory of Autumn. This is designed by DesignWorks. No. Dimensions. This is a Dimensions piece. And it came with 14 count Aida, but I have decided to swap it out for the 28 count linen. This was for the Cross Stitch and Discuss 'Tis the Season to be Challenged. Sort of had to do something seasonal. I managed to hit all of the elements with this one piece, but neglected to finish it in time. I think that the end of it is the 20th of January. There's no way I'm going to get this done in time. But that, that's all right. I knew I was going to want to do this piece at some point, so I'm glad that I started it. There's that. Okay, next, this is my Raven Queen by Mirabilia, and this is being stitched on a 32 count, I believe. I think it's 32 count, I'm pretty sure. This is Haunted from Picture This Plus, and this is what I got too. I think I worked on her for about a week. And I love how she's looking on that fabric. Oh my goodness. She's gorgeous. More importantly, more than anything in this world, I love the black. I hate the black on stitching normally, but that anchor black, the proof is in the stitching. It's looking pretty good. So there's that. Started this for the Bring Home the Raven Queen Sal, but haven't touched it since. Goals for 2016. Progress. What that means, not sure. Maybe a finish. Probably not. I have other large Mirabilias to do. We're down to the last two. Oh my god. We're almost there. Okay. This was an accidental start. I mean, I was meant to start it, but I started it at the wrong time. Anyway, this is my Stony Creek. This is the Ho 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 series. I started with the first one. The first one is done. Little Santa. I'm stitching it on a, whether you believe me or not, sparkly Belfast linen. It's an Opal Belfast. Yes, an Opal Belfast, so 32 count. And it is sparkly. Goals for 2016. Finish it. I think this took me like a total of a week once I really sat down and got to work on it, so I think I could get this done for Christmas this year. There are only two more parts, a reindeer and a snowman, in very similar styling, of course. And yeah, I think I'm going to try to get this done this year. So there's that. Love it. I can't wait to get back to this. But I am going to focus this more on, I'm probably going to work on it in July, like Christmas in July, and then in December, just to be sure that I can get it done in time. Last one. The last work in progress. We're there. This work in progress was started today. This was my New Year, New Start. And I was not planning on starting this year, but Christmas sort of changed that for me. My stepdad got me the kit for Autumn Fairy by Chatelaine. This is a very different style of Chatelaine. It's not the typical mandala designs. My nose is running, I'm sorry guys. So I'm going to have a picture here so that you can see what she's supposed to look like when she's done. This was the first ever chatelaine that I ever saw. It was being done by Doodlehead Stitches, who now has a knitting podcast. She talks about her other crafts too, but largely, who are we kidding? She's a knitter. But anyway, I saw this piece on her blog several years ago when I first discovered chatelaines, and fell absolutely in love. And so I decided that I had to start it myself. And so I did. So what you see here is, first of all, the fabric is 32 count mellow, hand dyed by Picture This Plus. I had purchased this fabric for something else, but it worked out for this anyway. The reason that I'm not actively working on this anymore is that I'm at a stopping point. I started with part 1, and the kit that my stepdad ordered hasn't arrived yet, so I don't have the silks or the petite treasure braids yet, or the beads for that matter. But I did have the DMCs, and so what you see there are the DMCs. And I have finished the DMC for part 1. I feel really awkward about continuing any further than that with the DMCs. I'd really like to get the silks in first before I continue down further. I could continue stitching the border, because the border goes all the way down and around, but I don't want to, it's boring. And so I'm just going to hold off. I'm going to hold off until the other materials arrive, but we'll just show you briefly what I've got done here. This is just the cross stitch and the half stitch in DMC done. Interesting color scheme already. Unsurprising. It's chatelaine. You have to trust Martina with these. But I like it. Here's something ironic about this piece. I always told myself that chatelaines, I was not putting on hand-dyed fabrics. But this, I think it really works. I think that mellow is mellow enough to lend itself to being okay for the chatelaine. So I'm okay with it. So there's that. And ladies and gents, that's all of my whips. Oh my god, there's so many. 53 minutes of talking about whips. I'm exhausted. Okay, so now let's talk 2016 plans. 2015 for me was my year of starts. I mean, based on whips that I already have going, I had 18 new starts. That does not include those new starts that I finished, as well as the new starts that I UFO'd. So I had at least 18 new starts last year. And to be totally honest, I'm discouraged by that pile of whips. I'm discouraged by the fact that it took me an hour to talk about my whips. What I'd like to do is really start to bring my whip pile down and make some good progress on these projects that I have that I already love so much. It's why I've been so critical about projects that I do actually love versus projects that I started just for the sake of a sale. That will not be 2016 for me. I'm going to get some of these projects done. I am not so naive to think that I'm going to get them all done. Not even close. I wouldn't even bet on the fact that I would get half of them done. But I'd like to get quite a few of them done. So 2016 I'm going to be focusing on finishes. Ultimately, my goal is for 16 finishes in 2016. Half of which have to come from my active whips. So as of today, really as of yesterday, I had 23 works in progress. 8 of those have to come from those 23. At least 8 have to come from those 23. I've already pegged 8 projects, and I'm going to go through those really quickly to show you the ones that I think I'm going to try to get done this year. And then we'll see what happens with the rest of them. The other 8, so I told you I want 16 done this year. 8 of them, at least, are coming from my WIP pile. The other 8 can either come from new starts or from my WIP pile. I am not opposed to doing some cards to get those finishes, but ultimately I want to finish some things this year. The other thing that I want to do is to not make any large starts until I get some of my large projects done, because I have some big projects, and my plans for this year include some rather large projects. So, you know. Now, that being said, I told you that my focus here is to finish things this year. That does not mean that I'm telling myself no new starts. That does not mean that I'm telling myself no new stash. I am not so naive to think that that would actually work. Just the thought of telling myself no more new starts makes me want to go start something right now, which is totally counterintuitive. I love the idea behind, I know the Cross Stitch and Discuss group has their no new starts between like January 15th and July 15th or something like that. I love that. That is so cool. But if I were to stop myself for 6 months from starting anything, I'd lose my mind. And I'd fall off the bandwagon, so to speak. So I'm not holding myself to any hard and fast rules like that. But these 8 projects here, I want to get done this year. So let's go through them real quick. My Chatelaine Frosty Knot Garden. Long Dog Samplers Opus 2, aka Maggie. Mirabilia Persephone. Told you guys I'm going to go through these real quickly because we just went through it. Passione Ricomo. So much fabric to handle here. Passione Ricomo Under the Moonlight. Imaginating Be Thankful. Jean Netley Mayhew Elephants. Teresa Wensler Stretch. Stony Creek Ho 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 series. The full thing. Both of those pieces. These are 8 of my active projects that I want to get completely done this year. Just think, if I have, now that my 2016 start has already happened, my New Year New Start has happened, if I get 8 of these done, I'm down to 16 WIPs. I haven't been in the teens since like July, and ultimately I'd really like to get down to something more manageable, like 10, 9, single digits. I'd really like to get down to that point. What I miss more than anything was 2014. I had my 4-week rotation, and it was manageable, and I got to work extensively on my projects, and I miss that. I have a lot of projects here, but with very little progress done on them, and I want to get some things done this year. I'm really, really excited to get some things done this year. So those are the 8 planned finishes. Everything else, we'll see what happens. I am not setting any rules in stone this year. I'm not, you know, I told you some of my goals for the projects that I've got going, but by and large, they're loose goals. So anyway, these 8, getting them done this year. There are 2 others that I want to get done this year. They are planned new starts. The first is the Clouds Factory postcards from around the world, stitch along. That starts on January the 10th. We'll see about when mine starts, but more on that at another date. The other, and the reason that I'm thinking that I'm going to get that done is because it's a monthly. So I'm going to keep on top of that, as well as the Frosted Pumpkin Stitchery Pumpkin Passport. Doing both of those this year. And so I think that I can get those done this year. I have a couple other planned new starts. 2 rather large Heaven and Earth designs. One of them is Avarice, which my fiance bought for me for our anniversary 2 years ago, and I haven't started it. That I would like to do. The other is a Jane Worcester Scott Heaven and Earth design, As the Leaves Turn. I'd really like to start that this year. I also plan on doing Crafty Kim, this is for you. The Northern Expressions Needleworks Shades of Wine. Ultimately, I'd like to do Shades of Wine and Shades of Orange because they are kind of maroon and orange. And sort of frame them and hang them up together. But Kim, after seeing your Shades of Gold, I knew that I had to do that. So that's in the works. I know that Nora Corbett has the first ever Mirabilia Mystery. Nora Corbett Mystery, something along those lines, starting this spring through Casa Sinina. I will be doing that. I've already warned my fiance. I'm like, sorry, this is happening. One other piece I'd like to do is, and I haven't ironed down exactly which one yet, but a wedding sampler for my fiance and I because we are getting married this year. That's a crazy thing to say, but nonetheless, it's true. What else? I know I have some other things that I'd like to start. I'd really like to start Gypsy Queen, but I need to get my Mirabilias down because I have Persephone, Raven Queen, and 9 Ladies Dancing all going right now, and so I need to bring that down first before I add another large one to the mix. Gypsy Queen is gorgeous, but you all know that. I'm going to steal a sip here. During my break, I grabbed a new drink. Okay. So ultimately, 16 finishes, at least 8 from my current whip pile. And I want to stitch this year. Really want to hunker down and get some stitching done. Ironically enough, I really want to hunker down and get some reading done this year too. I just set my goal to 50 books this year. I want to get my book blog back online and back on track. So we'll see how I'm going to balance the two. Along with, oh yeah, full-time job and, oh yeah, wedding. Yeah. I don't know. Apparently I think somewhere I'm going to grow extra hours. We'll see. But in the meantime, another of my ultimate goals is to stitch what I love. 2015 taught me that I've got to stitch what I love. I love stitch-alongs. Like, don't get me wrong, it's a lot of fun to do the stitch-alongs, but I have to put what I really feel like stitching first. If it so happens that I can work a whip into one of these stitch-alongs, then fantastic. That's great. But I approached 2015 with, let's do Sal's, let's do Sal's, let's do Sal's. And 2016 is different. It's a whole new vibe for me. Need another sip. Apparently I'm getting scratchy after talking for an hour and a half. Who knew? Okay. So, to accomplish those goals, starting up a new rotation. I'm back on a 4-week rotation. Of course, this is not hard and fast. It will likely change 18 times between now and the end of the year. But whatever. I ain't even bothered. So, I'm going to pull up my notes here because I forget. Okay, so 4-week rotation. started today. As of right now, my week 1 is my monthly. So that is including Clouds Factory Sal, Frosted Pumpkin Sal, and my freebie Flowers of the Month from Ellen Morristrow. Here's what I'm thinking. This week 1, I'm working on January. I don't have those other sals started just yet, so I'm just going to work on this all week. Then, February week 1, I'll work on February. And I'm going to move across. I'm probably not going to get a whole flower done in a month. Maybe this one. Maybe I'll get January done, but that's because I had most of it done ahead of time. I know that I'm not going to get each flower done each month, especially with sort of trying to work 3 projects into 1 week. I'm okay with it. But basically, I'm just going to work across the flowers. So, here's what I'm thinking my week 1 is going to look like. If Frosted Pumpkin does what they did last year, and that is release the newest installment of the Pumpkin Passport, I think they released it on like the last day of the previous month. So, for instance, they'll release February's block on January 31st. So I think that I will work through Frosted Pumpkin, get it done, and then work through Clouds Factory, get it done. Whatever I have left in the week, maybe it's a Sunday, because Sundays are my champion stitching days, I can get some progress in on this. If not, okay, not a big deal. This is not one of my focuses for a finish, so I'm okay with it. It's totally fine. But ultimately, week 1 is going to be like monthly sals. I got this close to starting another project today that would have been really great for the monthly sals, but I decided, no, Jess, 2016 is for finishes. So let's work on what we've already got going, especially projects that we love. And I say we like I'm Gollum or something. But I do love this piece. And I gotta tell you, the more I look at it from afar, the more I like the depth in it. The greens bother me when I'm stitching it because there are 4 greens in this piece and you can't hardly tell the difference between them, but you step back and it's really impressive. I'm really, really liking this piece. So, I love this piece and I'm going to work on it this year. Mark my words, I'm going to work on it. So there's that. Now week 2, I'm bringing back my Heaven and Earth Design Sal week because I want to get some good heavy progress on my Heaven and Earth designs. I've got the 2 active right now and potentially 2 more starting this year. I've decided that if I'm going to start those other 2, I'm going to wait until I reach my realistic goals of my current Heaven and Earth designs. So I said that I wanted the top row of Mini Pirate done and 3 pages of In This Moment. So I have to get that done first before I can start those new Heaven and Earth designs. That is a hard and fast rule that I think I'm going to try to hold to. I want to make sure that I'm reaching some of my goals first before I start tacking more on. Because like I said, this year, I'm going to get some things done. Okay. So there's that. Week 3 is going to be what I'm calling Focus for a Finish. I know that Katie the Stash Queen does the same thing, where she has like a timed Focus for a finish. I think she does like 30 minutes every single day on her Focus for a Finish. I can't do that. Katie, you are a champion. Like, literal time manager to be able to do that. I could never. I couldn't do it because I get going on something and then like I'll get distracted by watching a FlossTube video and then I'll be like, well, does my time run out because I got distracted, or do I just clock actual stitching time? Like, that would just never work for me. I tried it once and it didn't work. So my Focus for a Finish is going to be a week. And during that week, the 3rd week of a month, I am going to work on whatever one of these 8 that I just talked to you about that I feel like. Whichever one is calling to me the most. And I'm going to spend a week working on these guys to see what kind of progress I can get done. The reason that I've stuck that for week 3 is that week 4 is going to be my whatever I want to week. So it's going to be my free week. If I'm getting close to a finish, or if I'm not ready to put the piece down yet and I need some more time with it, then I'm going to use that week 4 to do that. So I'm going to potentially have 2 weeks in a row of working on a piece to try to get it done. If I don't feel like it and I want to work on one of these other pieces that I have here, then I can do that, you know? Then I have that freedom to do that. So yeah. That's my rotation. Now I know, like, for instance, January, so the 1st through the 6th, the 7th through the 13th, the 14th through the 20th, the 21st through the 27th, then there's 4 more days of January. I'm just going to tack those on as additional free days. Although this year, or this month rather, will be a little bit different because of when Clouds Factory and Frosted Pumpkin starts. So, we'll see about that. So yeah, I'm really excited, you guys. I'm so excited for 2016. I'm so ready for it to start, and it already has, which is wonderful. I don't know. I'm ready to see what I can accomplish this year. I'm ready to see what you guys accomplish this year. I'm so excited for everybody. I'm excited for the people who are doing the crazy 366 starts. I'm so excited for the people who are like, no, I'm not doing anything but what I already have. Like, Emily, girl, more power to you. You have some beautiful projects to keep you occupied this year, but to not have any new starts this year, I applaud you. I love the people that are more like me and they're just kind of like, whatever. I'm so excited to see what this year brings. I'm so excited to see the new projects that are going to come on. You know, you think like a year ago, Raven Queen didn't exist. How crazy is that? Like, Raven Queen wasn't even a thing. And maybe it was a thing for Mirabilia, but it wasn't for us. So imagine what 2016 is going to bring for us Stitchers. And with the way that our craft and our community has changed, even in just the short years that I've been doing FlossTube, how much we have really changed. When I first started doing the YouTube videos, there was like no mention of needle minders. Like, that wasn't a thing. And now there are hordes and collections of these. There are so many different designers. I feel like the line between vendor and stitcher has gotten a little bit fuzzier. Like, we're interacting more with the people that we purchase from. And I love that. You know, I love that. I like that we kind of almost get to be like, this is going to sound really cheesy, but like masters of our own destiny here. We are helping shape what the cross-stitch community is. I think that's cool. Based on what we're interested in is what is on the market and available. I think it's cool. And I'm excited to see what 2016 brings for us. I have no doubt in my mind that this time next year I'm going to be saying the same thing about something that was released in 2016 or some new trend in 2016. I'm excited. I'm really excited. And so yeah. I was going to do the Teresa Little Stitcher year in review tag, but honestly, I think we're at almost 2 hours here. I'm exhausted and I'm kind of hungry. So I think that I'm going to call it a day. And I will do that year in review tag some other time. I think that I have held your attention long enough. And that's if there's anybody still listening. I'm just sitting here thinking about the editing task that I had to have. I'm starting to lose it. The editing task that I have ahead of me. It's pretty extensive. Okay, so 2016. I have a question for you guys. What do you want to see from me? What do you want my channel to become? Because ultimately, you, the viewers of my channel, help me direct where I need to go with my channel. Do you want me to talk about knitting? I know that there are a few of you out there who do. Are you totally opposed to that? Do you want me to be holistic and stick to just cross stitch? Do you want me to talk about books? Because I told you I've got reading goals this year. Do you want me to do, I don't know, some other feature? What do you want? What do you want for my channel? I put this together for you guys. I'm going to stitch no matter what. But I put the channel together for you guys. Okay. I think I've said enough. I'm starting to get rambly. Starting to trip over my own tongue. So I'm going to end it here with a couple of things. First of all, Happy New Year, everybody. And I hope that this year is full of stitchy goodness. Whatever that means for you. Whether it's a million new starts or one project that you get progress on. I hope that this year is wonderful and prosperous and beautiful, and I'd like to say easy, but let's face it, easy life. That doesn't make any sense. It's kind of an oxymoron, isn't it? I hope that this year is wonderful to you, and I hope that you continue watching my channel. And yeah, thank you. That's the other thing I wanted to say. Thank you. See you later. Bye.